$1 trillion and counting. That's the amount of student loan debt in America.
I don't regret going to college. I do regret taking the loan.
This week in a KCRA 3 series, Chasing Paper, the college debt crisis, we're taking a closer look at California's collegiate system. It is a system critics say is at the financial brink with a bill that's having an impact on students for years to come.
Yeah, we begin with a look at 3 people who are investing in higher education. As KCRA 3's Edie Lambert reports, each of them dealing with their own set of expectations and challenges.
It's a time of endings.
While we cannot give you all the answers, we've provided you the tools to meet these challenges.
And new beginnings for these graduates at Sacramento's John F. Kennedy High School.
Don't be afraid of the future as we move toward it exactly how we as humans were intended to experience it. 1 second at a time.
For valedictorian Danielle Kwan, after 4 years of hard work,
I've always been encouraged to do my best.
the door to higher learning has opened, and it's led to Carnegie Mellon University, where she's majoring in mechanical engineering.
I've heard of the school back in elementary school, and I had heard about the work they were doing in computer science and robotics, and it's a pretty prestigious school.
Prestigious and pricey. The annual cost to attend Carnegie Mellon, including housing, tuition, and fees, is nearly $64,000 a year.
When she said she wanted to go there, it was really like, I can't say no.
Private scholarships and financial aid brought that price tag down.
It was a big difference in cost overall.
But Danielle's family still had to dig deep into their own pockets.
And we're cashing in like all our savings just to allow her the opportunity to go.
I'm pretty excited, yeah.
And while Danielle and her classmates are just beginning their journey in higher education, across town, more than 4,800 students graduated from Sacramento State this spring. Not as expensive as a private school, the annual cost at Sac State is still about $23,000 for in-state students. Many of these graduates will be taking with them more than just a degree and their memories of their college years. The average Sac State student is carrying more than $17,000 in student loans. For Tamisha Rader, higher education, even at a public university, comes with a price tag.
I probably have less than $15,000 in loans, hopefully.
She's on track to graduate next year with a bachelor's degree in psychology.
I'm happy with psychology, but I want to go into social work.
She already has a job lined up as a social worker.
When I did my internship, they liked what I did, and they were like, okay, you can come back.
And she's going to need that job because she'll have to start paying back those loans 6 months after graduation.
I try not to think about it. I want to just focus on school.
And there's Ruben Omega.
I graduated with about $50,000 in student loans.
13 years ago, he graduated from UC Berkeley with a degree in chemical engineering.
I didn't have sticker shock immediately after I graduated, because I wasn't really thinking about it. For me, the sticker shock didn't come until maybe just a few years ago.
Now married with 2 children and an upside-down mortgage, he is still paying off his student loan, which over the years has ballooned to $70,000 with interest.
My parents had co-signed for it, but I agreed it was my responsibility to pay it off. So really the question was, well, how am I going to pay this off, right? And that's where I got a little confused and almost a little sad about the decision I made.
Increasing student loans and debt that follows for years. It's the price of chasing paper and the root of the college debt crisis.
Once she graduates, she'll have her share of loans, and then we'll probably have our share too.
Well, this month, Sacramento State and UC Davis are starting classes. Parents are moving their kids into dorms for the first time.
KCRA 3's Edie Lambert now as part of our series Chasing Paper, the college debt crisis.
Kelly and Gulston, many parents are seeing a far different educational system than the colleges they attended, and the high cost of higher education has some of them feeling sticker shock. All this week, we're looking at what effect this has on California schools and, of course, the students, and why the costs are rising.
Freshman move-in day.
I'm nervous a little bit.
But the nerves students feel on their first day may be nothing compared to the nerves their parents feel when looking at the finances.
Our youngest kid, though, we probably need to do loans.
Well, college tuition has remained fairly constant in the last few years. In the height of the state recession, 2008 to 2010, tuition at both the UC and CSU systems went up more than 30%, while the state cut nearly 1/4 of its funding for public colleges and universities, leaving students like these bright-eyed freshmen saddled with student loans. And while tuition continues to remain flat, student fees have increased statewide nearly every year.
When we looked at the tuition, we started thinking, all right, well, we have to take out loans.
Paula Nahara is a KCRA 3 intern and a student at the University of California, Davis. The only child of a single mother, without loans, she wouldn't be able to pay for both tuition and living expenses.
And I started looking at what UC Davis costs a year, and it was around $33,000.
And Paula's not alone. Nationwide, the student loan debt has risen to more than $1 trillion.
It's astronomical. It's higher than credit card debt. It's second only to mortgage debt.
Natalia Abrams is with the advocacy group StudentDebtCrisis.org. She says with less state funding, the universities found new places to get their money, and most of it came from students in the form of tuition increases and fees.
There needs to be incentives for driving down costs, incentives for having tuition freezes. I mean, from the federal government to the states.
And as you know, we froze tuition 3 years in a row. I don't know that we'll keep that up indefinitely.
Another criticism, the increasing size of staff and management at the schools. In the UC system, more salaries are going to management, medical systems, and other staff than to the academic staff. In fact, more than 60% of the UC system salaries are not for academics. But President Napolitano says those are necessary costs.
My job as the president is to make sure that our administrative costs are what are required to run the university.
We're on the brink. We're really at a critical, I think, point in our nation's history of the affordability of college.
Assemblywoman Sharon Quirk Silva is on the Assembly Higher Education Committee. A parent of 4 college students herself, she says now that the state has a budget surplus, lawmakers need to take a harder look at the way we finance higher education in California.
There has been some reinvestment, as you said, nowhere near where we were, but certainly that focus has to continue.
Move-in day! Until then, students like these will continue to make up the difference as they pay for their college educations.
Now to our ongoing series, Chasing Paper, the College Debt Crisis.
An athletic scholarship may be a great way to pay for a college education. If you're lucky enough to get one, you should know it's a full ride, but not a free ride.
KCRA 3's Golson Dart introduces us to a Sacramento man who earned not 1 but 2 football scholarships at 2 different colleges, but the price he paid to play was pretty steep.
As early as 11 years old, it was game on for Stephen Christian. The 23-year-old Sacramento native grew up with football.
You see everybody in college playing on TV and in the pros, and it's like, why not try to do what they're doing?
Number 6, Stephen Christian, upper left hand, he's into the end zone.
Showing early promise on the gridiron, Christian earned 3 varsity letters, playing for both Kennedy High and Christian Brothers. His academics were equally matched, receiving several awards.
I was in the AP classes, and I was an honors math student going into my undergrad.
It was that double achievement, excellence in sports and academics, that saw Princeton, Harvard, Yale, and Cornell all courting him in 2008. But ultimately, he accepted a full-ride athletic scholarship to the University of Hawaii.
It was a tricky one because you're not looking at just for, the playing experience or the academics, you're looking for both. And so for some schools, you get one and you get in other schools, you'll get the other, but it's very rare that you'll get both at the same time.
But going to college on an athletic scholarship isn't all fun and games. Instead, Stephen says it was all about the game.
When you're going through and you're trying to pursue academics and you're trying to pursue athletics on a collegiate level, it's a lot of stuff that people don't tell you about, as far as, the amount of hours that you have to put into it.
Travel, mandatory meetings, practice and games, and working towards his psychology degree proved overwhelming.
If I'm not there trying to win a championship in the classroom with them, and I'm in the classroom for myself, then ultimately there's going to be a conflicting problem.
Ed Mill with Sacramento State Student Affairs. He says the time demands on student athletes are much more intense than most people realize.
I think that is a challenge for a student athlete. You're really balancing a lot, and athletics is a lot of time. You have to travel for games or for events, competitions, and so you have to figure out how to organize your time.
Support for student athletes is critical.
We provide advising, we provide life skills support, we do all kinds of things to help the athletes.
Despite setbacks on the field, Christian graduated with honors from Hawaii, earning a BA in psychology. He went on to play for Oregon State, earning a master's degree in interdisciplinary studies. Aside from football, Christian is a comic book illustrator, graphic designer, and computer technician. He's working on a 3-part graphic novel, sharing his story with young athletes who are considering playing college ball on a scholarship.
I want people that are going through my situation to benefit from it. So from my experiences at 2 different schools, there wasn't enough support there. And for one reason or another, they just didn't understand how it was to be a student athlete.
Ultimately, he has no regrets.
I look at it as something that I experienced. I can say that I experienced it, and I can know that either I wanted to do it or I didn't want to do it.
Golston Dark, KCRA 3 News.
Now that college prices are rising faster than the rate of inflation, some out-of-state universities and colleges are offering breaks to California students. The University of Nevada, Reno is just one institution looking across state lines for new students. In our continuing series, Chasing Paper, the College Debt Crisis, KCRA 3's Kevin Oliver shows us how students are taking advantage of the offer, cutting thousands of dollars off the cost of their degree.
I love it here.
Just over the Sierra, 10 miles from the California state line, Michael Hernbroth is in his final year at the University of Nevada, Reno.
What I really wanted to do is get the whole college experience, with the football team, the larger campus. And I really enjoy snowboarding. I love the Tahoe area. And I said, hey, why don't I, take a look? And my parents sat down with an advisor, and they're saying, hey, this is what's going to cost.
The cost for students to go out of state for college has gone up 19% nationwide over the past 5 years, according to data from the College Board. But for Hernbroth, even with higher out-of-state costs, it still ends up being cheaper than many California schools, in part because of a program called the Western Undergraduate Exchange Program, or WUE.
It's a very important part of being able to provide a situation where a student can go away from home but not be too far away from home, enjoy an out-of-state institution, and be able to afford it.
The WUE program gives Californians a significant discount when they enroll in participating universities in 15 western states.
WUE plays a huge part. It's actually cheaper for me to come here out of state on WUE than it is to have in-state in my own state of California.
Hernbroth isn't alone.
It was actually cheaper to come here than any California school.
In fact, 20% of last year's freshman class came from California. Many colleges are using WUE to woo students to their campuses.
We've become a very good option for California students.
Sacramento state officials said when the recession hit and budgets were cut, other universities saw that as an opportunity to seize on California's limitations.
The states around us figured out pretty quickly that we had way more students than we could serve within the state.
Getting a higher education and a degree is one thing. Getting the classes when you need them so you can finish on time is another. Being forced to take an extra semester of classes raises the ante. And Nevada students say that's something they typically don't have to worry about.
I have no problem getting my classes here, whereas some of my friends have to graduate in maybe 4.5, or they're taking semester after semester during the summer.
I have friends that have gone all over California, and I've heard stories about how much it's costing them to go through and how hard it is to get classes and stuff like that, and some of them aren't sure if they're going to be able to graduate within 4 years.
California State University officials say they still consider the university system one of the best values in the country. And while choosing a college may be an individual choice, students and their parents aren't necessarily limited to the Golden State. In Reno, Kevin Oliver, KCRA 3 News.
California students aren't automatically given a discount under the Western Undergraduate Exchange. There's a rigorous application process, and some majors don't qualify for tuition discounts, so it's important to research the college you want to attend first.
So it's that time of year again when many high school seniors begin the process of selecting a college, and schools are pulling out all the stops to lure the best and brightest.
In our Chasing Paper, the college debt crisis report, KCRA 3's Edie Lambert shows us while some colleges boast about courses, class size and financial aid, others are wooing students with high-cost perks.
I am 3/4 up this 28-foot rock wall.
It looks like part of a PE class or maybe an expensive gym. But this 28-foot rock climbing wall is actually part of campus recreation at UCLA, along with 6 swimming pools, a barbecue pit, coffee, and smoothies.
It's very convenient because you can get something to eat on your way to campus.
UCLA touts the amenities of their campus in this video, and they're not the only ones. UC Davis has a Starbucks and a Bean Tree Coffee, 7 brand new dorms, and their website highlights their bowling alley. And Sac State's rec center, The Well, offers dodgeball and one of those rock climbing walls. Critics say the public universities are no longer treating kids like students, they're treating them like consumers.
And we see that there is an attempt to participate in a sort of competition for prestige.
When you start college, that's the time when you have the chance to experiment.
The building boom is part of a CNN documentary called Ivory Tower, an in-depth look at the cost of higher education. Director Andrew Rossi chronicles what he says is a massive shift, where universities aren't targeting academics, but targeting students, hoping to attract kids with bigger buildings and fancy amenities, many of which have nothing to do with the student's education.
Colleges have turned into these large businesses.
It's a feeding frenzy to outbuild your rivals.
It created a race
that has had a really pernicious effect on certain campuses, which are spending lots of money on building campaigns, and in some cases attracting certain professors and their laboratories that are extremely expensive, but not necessarily having a direct impact on the academic experience of a majority of students on those campuses.
Sometimes schools take money to put into recreational areas to attract more students or for administration.
Paolo Nahara is a student at UC Davis, a communications major. She's also interning at KCRA. She says the education she's getting at Davis is worth the money, but she wonders where her tuition and fees are really going. Both Sac State and Davis have major fast food chains, coffee houses, and those rock climbing walls. And Davis's website even boasts the largest video arcade in a 20-mile radius.
Many seniors in high school don't feel attracted to the different academic opportunities that a school has to offer prior to living in the city and other than that. So I feel like UC Davis takes that into account, and that's why they invest so much in recreational activities, because they want to attract more students maybe from Southern California who usually won't decide to come here.
And the schools have admitted seeking out-of-state and out-of-country students because they get double the tuition and fees of California students.
Some of the college student unions have pizza, oven-baked pizza, where, this is something we would have gone to a restaurant for.
Sharon Quirk-Silva sits on the State Assembly's Higher Education Committee. She's pushed legislation to allow students to refinance their student loans and lower their loan payments. She says this building boom makes for glittering new campuses, but the costs raise tuition and fees.
I think when you really are looking at education investment, kind of with that watchdog lens, we certainly have to notice what is the percentage of administrative salaries, as you say, expansion of campus facilities. Even as noted, sometimes college campus is looking more like playgrounds with rock climbing walls and so forth.
55% of this year's capital budget for the UC system, $788 million, is going to new construction. Well, not all that money goes to things like rock climbing walls. Major cuts in state funding in past years saw the UC and CSU schools raising tuition and, in particular, fees, which help to pay for student recreation, athletics, and student unions.
We have to take a little pause to say, what are we investing in and what do we want on the other side? And I think that we all want bright, productive, collaborative neighbors in our community, workers at our jobs, but does that mean we need climbing walls?
Edie Lambert, KCRA 3 News.
To our ongoing series, Chasing Paper, the College Debt Crisis. Paying off student loan debt can be long. It can also be complicated. According to the Federal Reserve, $85 billion of outstanding student loan debt is past due. But no matter how much you owe, it can be managed. KCRA 3's Edie Lambert takes a look at the problem and the online tool that could help.
La mía tiene pelo largo.
This is the tale of one couple with two very different college debt outcomes.
It was paper to me. I knew intellectually I had to pay it back, but it was so far away, 4 or 5 years is so far away at that time that I didn't really think anything of it.
34-year-old Ruben Omega graduated from UC Berkeley with a degree in chemical engineering and substantial debt.
I graduated with about $50,000 in student loans, and when I looked back, it was about $70,000 in student loans because it had grown because I kept on putting it off.
His wife, Gondika Nguyen, graduated from the same college with the same degree, but she's debt-free.
A loan was never an option for me. I never really thought about it, didn't think I needed one. And so when I went to school, I said, well, I'm just going to go to a JC first.
Both took advantage of financial aid, but Nguyen paid in full each semester, while Omega kept taking out loans.
My parents had co-signed for it, but I agreed it was my responsibility to pay it off. So really the question was, well, how am I going to pay this off?
It's the sticker shock that many graduates face.
When you're young, you don't know what the number means.
Ignacio Thayer is the co-founder of Ready for Zero, an online debt management tool.
Ready for Zero, you connect your accounts, you connect your financial accounts, student loans or credit cards or whatever. We help you put together a plan that's realistic for you. And so you can pay on the site if you choose to, you can track your progress.
Thayer and his partners launched the site in 2011 after hearing friends talk about their crushing student debt.
It's the new American way of life. I think we're seeing sort of a throwback to what happened with mortgages, where people are getting sums of money that they can't, that maybe aren't reasonable, and they may not be able to pay back.
Omega signed up for Ready for Zero after becoming overwhelmed managing his debt, which had grown substantially after buying a house and having 2 children. Well, Ready for Zero helps keep track of debts and payments. It's old-fashioned belt-tightening that's making a difference.
After putting it on paper, it was a lot of, we got rid of our satellite TV. We put off, different things that we wanted to do, like landscaping. We put off getting a car. We cut out a lot of travel, cut out eating out.
As for future college graduates, remember the story of a couple who learned the core value of being debt-free. Have a plan and don't take loans you can't pay back. Edie Lambert, KCRA 3 News.
Now to our KCRA 3 News series, Chasing Paper, the College Debt Crisis. If you're planning to attend college here in California, there are a lot of choices.
Yeah, 298 colleges here in California. 154 of them are public and 144 are private. But with the rising costs, how do you pay for it? KCRA 3's Claire Dwan shows us how to tap into free money.
One mistake they'll make is they'll get started too late. The college application process begins in the freshman year of high school.
Ronald Adams is a certified college planning specialist. Tonight he's delivering some hard facts to parents looking for college financing options.
Is that student loans are not subject to bankruptcy laws. So if you borrow it today, at some point you're going to have to pay it back with interest.
It's a subject that keeps Eric Lucchini up at night. His 16-year-old daughter, Jasmine, is getting ready to choose a college.
Right now, San Diego State's #1.
And Lucchini is wondering, how's he going to pay for it?
She's following the dreams. I'm becoming kind of the reality checker.
It costs about $26,000 per academic year to attend San Diego State University. That includes tuition, room and board, fees, books, and supplies.
We could take care of the first year, but I hate to then scramble and say, what do we do for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years?
Let's break down how Americans are paying for college. 34% of students get help from parents or others. 31% receive grants and scholarships. 22% get student loans. And only 12% of students contribute to their own education. Lucchini ran the numbers hoping to qualify for federal and state financial aid. But being a dual-income family with a low debit load, he got some disappointing news.
Once I put on one piece of paper and looked at it, I was going, wow, we look better on paper than I thought. So my gut started to go, ugh, who's going to give us extra money when we're saying you're looking okay?
But there is a new program that may help Lucchini. It's called the Middle Class Scholarship Program. It's for UC and Cal State students whose families earn up to $150,000.
$107 million divided by the number of students who apply, and then it'll be divvied up based on their income need. The minimum is about $90. We don't know what the maximum will be.
To qualify for the scholarship, students must be a California resident, attend a UC or Cal State school, maintain satisfactory academic progress, and not be in default on a student loan. The scholarship starts out small, but can grow substantially over time.
So this is just the first year. It'll be a small but a meaningful amount this first year. And then in year 2 and year 3, it should be up to about 40% of the actual mandatory system-wide fee.
Another option is private scholarships. Corporations, foundations, and other private groups award merit-based aid. There are a number of websites you can use. bigfuture.collegeboard.org, run by the College Board, scholarships.com, and fastweb.com.
What a really complex area this is.
Adams tells his clients they can save money by being realistic. Pick a college based on need, not preference.
The first question I'd want to ask that parent is, how did you pick that school? Did you pick it because it's by the Pacific Ocean? Did you pick it because you think it's a prestigious degree? If you want to get a superior degree in construction site management, then there's a school in California, which is one of the top ones on the planet. Students compete to come to this program, and it's at Sacramento State. So you don't need to go across the country to the East Coast.
It's advice Lucchini plans to follow.
Definitely, we're going to go through Sac State and walk. And then we'll go up north a little bit to Chico. Chico is another very good school, but more affordable.
Claire Dwan, KCRA 3 News.
Community colleges is the largest system of higher education in the U.S., but are they a bargain?
Yeah, critics point to students' low completion and transfer rates. As part of our week-long series, Chasing Paper, the Cost of Higher Education, KCRA 3's Claire Dwan shows us the benefits and the pitfalls of community college.
First day of the fall semester at Sacramento City College.
You've got to come to class.
One of 4 community colleges in the Los Rios district. Nearly 80,000 students from the Sacramento region are in attendance. Jose Sanabria is one of them.
I didn't really have an option because I didn't get accepted anywhere else.
Turned down by 4 schools, Sanabria's options were limited.
By default, I was here.
He's got 1 more year at Sac City. His goal is to transfer to UCLA.
It was a really good experience. I actually didn't regret it because I saved a lot of money.
Attending a community college can be a financially smart 2-year stepping stone on the way to a UC.
Affordability was always a major factor.
It worked for Lance Reyes, who's now studying electrical engineering at UC Berkeley after 2 years at the College of Marin.
I worked hard here. I had the resources here. I was provided with a lot of opportunities, and I took advantage of them.
And that, says Diana Fuentes Michelle with the California Student Aid Commission, is the key to successfully graduating and transferring on to UC.
The key thing is to have a plan. The plan means that you have to have an idea of your general education requirements and what they are to go to a particular college.
But community colleges have been criticized for not transferring enough students to 4-year colleges. The master plan by the UC system is to enroll 1 transfer student for every 2 freshmen from California. But that goal has not been met despite the efforts of some universities.
UC Davis has what we call the transfer admissions guarantee, where we will contract with the student. If you do these things, we guarantee you a seat in our junior class.
Walter Robinson is the Associate Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs. He says the importance of the transfer pathway cannot be overstated.
Not only is it financially feasible, but it also provides students an opportunity who may be UC Berkeley or UC Davis competitive coming out of high school, but who chose to go to community college.
And what about students who are working towards a degree or certificate with no plans to transfer? According to the Chancellor's office, students who earn a degree or certificate from a California community college nearly doubled their earnings in 3 years. But there's another challenge facing students. The community college system is still recovering from the recession. From 2007 through 2012, the state cut $1.5 billion from the community college budget, impacting 112 schools. As a result, statewide course offerings dropped by 1/4. Students like Lance Reyes and Jose Sanabria say community college not only makes sense, it's made all the difference.
I feel comfortable because I feel like this college prepared me, and I feel like I'm educated enough to do well at Berkeley as well.
The students here and the teachers and the professors are more interactive, and it's a better community.
In Sacramento, Claire Dwan, KCRA 3 News.